Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mr. Go channel. This is Social Study Part 2 of Comparison. How do I answer? Comparison SBQ. If you have not watched the first part on introduction, please go ahead and click on the link below. Other than that, we're moving on to Part 2, Source Analysis. Let's recap. When we are talking about comparison, we are actually finding the differences and similarities between the two sources. Why is it and all? It really depends on the question. So these are the common terms that we are using in our video, and usually they are similar and referring to the same thing. They're talking about the basis of comparison, you have the common criteria and the match. And for this case, we'll be using the basis of comparison. There are two ways. Before we can proceed on to the two ways, which is the basic, source type, provenance and content, before moving to the later stage where we'll talk about tone and purpose, we need to conduct source analysis. Before we can continue, we need to analyze the issue. What is the issue? Usually it is a question at the top of your SBQ paper. How far have Singaporeans welcomed foreign manpower into the country? And before we go on, there are a few key ideas here that we need to take note of because they give us an idea into what we are searching for. First will be Singaporeans, the action of welcoming and foreign manpower. It could be foreigners, it could be foreign talents. And that is your potential clue number one. Let's take a look at source A. It's an extract of a study on attitude towards immigration based on 2,000 Singaporeans aged between 19 to 30, published on March 2011 by the Institute of Policy Studies Singapore. We are looking at statistics here where we talk about there are a percentage of the population of the 2,000 Singaporeans who disagree, who are neutral and who agree. So these are the three survey questions. Our job security is compromised due to the influx of foreign talents. Singaporeans want to immigrate because there are too many foreign talents, and there will be the issue of sufficient jobs and opportunities for every Singaporean in the next 10 years. And if you don't know what is immigrate, if you look at the word E, it stands for exit. That's how I would like to remember it. So it's the act of leaving one's country to settle permanently in another country. When we're looking at statistics, we are looking for a trend that is significant. It could be the largest, it could be the tallest, and it could be the fastest. When we go back here, let's analyze the data because that's what we're looking for usually in helping to find a content match. In terms of the most significant, we have a larger percentage, 44.8%, saying that our job security is compromised due to the influx of foreign talents. Then we are talking about 37%, which is slightly higher but still higher than people actually wanting to immigrate because there are too many foreign talents, and we are talking about at least 1/3 of them. And we have 42.7% saying that there will be sufficient jobs, which sort of tells you that they have confidence in having enough jobs. So what we like to do is that we like to rephrase the idea. It means that nearly half of the young Singaporeans aged between 19 to 30 agree that job security is compromised due to the influx of foreign talents. And when we try to rephrase the job security is compromised, what they actually mean is that they do not feel secure about their jobs. It means that they might lose their job anytime due to foreign talent. And the next one will be slightly more than 1/3 of young Singaporeans agree that Singaporeans want to migrate because there are too many foreign talents. And last but not least, we have 2/5, which is quite a substantial amount as well, that young Singaporeans agree that Singaporeans will have enough employment. They probably will be employed in the next decade. So when we try to rephrase them, we are trying to understand them. If you can't really rephrase it, it shows that you do not really understand. So do your best to rephrase it so it helps you in your understanding before we go on to the next source. In this idea of Singaporeans welcoming foreign manpower, we take a look at the issue and how it actually fits in. This really helps you when you are analyzing the source. On the theme of foreigners, we're actually talking about welcoming them, or conversely, we are talking about rejecting them. We're talking about the positive impact. We put a plus sign later in the annotation, and if it's a negative sign, we talk about the negative impacts of foreign talents and foreigners. It's time to put a plus and minus sign. So the first one will be a negative when we talk about they do not feel secure. Next, the Singaporeans want to migrate is actually a negative sign, is because we are losing Singaporeans and they could possibly help to contribute to Singapore in the future. And saying that Singaporeans actually have enough employment, that will be a plus. So overall, if you look at this source, it's really a negative source rather than a positive source, but it consists of both. When we look at the key ideas of negative, positive, we are looking for key themes that we can use that could possibly constitute your basis of comparison. And the first one will be job security, because secure about jobs, right? So job security. Next one will be on migration issue. The third one will be on job quantity. Will we have enough jobs to support Singaporeans in the future? So this is potential clue number 2. Using labeling, we label it plus and minus to show the positive or negative impacts, and later we link it to key ideas. What is the main thing going on in that sentence? So we have 3 of them. Now we look at the next source. Source B, part of a comments on foreign manpower by a Singaporean on a blog posted in 2013. And when we're talking about levies, we are talking about taxes that impose on employers for hiring foreign workers. They have to pay extra money because they wish to hire foreign workers instead of Singaporeans. So let's take a look at these tax. One important clue is that when we are looking at tax, each idea is actually contained within that paragraph. So when we have 2 paragraphs, essentially we're looking at 2 different ideas. That is one very big clue when we are doing our analysis. The first one, many Singaporeans are worried that they might not be able to find job because of foreign talents here. So if you look at this, straight away it tells you that it has sort of some resemblance towards the previous source. And this will be talking about job security. They will not be able to find job. They are worried. So whether they are able to find that is related to job security. The next one, foreigners however take up jobs that we Singaporeans don't want. Their jobs include bus drivers, domestic maids and construction workers, which are high in demand but are regarded by Singaporeans as low class. Companies have to hire foreigners to take up these jobs. Some Singaporeans have also decided to leave Singapore to spare their children the painful stress of going through our competitive education system. The next point is about leaving Singapore. Does it sound familiar? Actually, it is. So this is our second evidence that if we were to quote, this will be it. We're talking about migration. They want to leave Singapore, and I believe this is more on a permanent basis. And thus, with foreigners working here, Singapore loss of talent could be replaced. Even so, we still complain about them, although they contribute to Singapore economy. Government policies have been introduced to reduce the amount of foreign manpower in budget 2013. It was announced that foreign worker levies will go up from 2014, making it more expensive and difficult to hire foreign workers. So we have another point here, which is this. Foreign workers levy will go up from 2014, making it more expensive and difficult to hire foreign workers. Hopefully, this will reduce the number of foreigners. So I guess it's about job quantity. So maybe because of this, companies will choose to hire Singaporeans. Then we have more jobs, right? If we take all the evidence and we place them over here, we have the basis of comparison of job security, migration, and jobs quantity. So we place them, then we analyze now. Because we are doing source analysis, right? We are doing comparison. So to see whether they fit nicely and match each other, when we take a look at jobs quantity, we talk about 2/5 of the Singaporeans will have enough employment in the next decade. And we talk about foreign workers levy. They don't really address the issue. They do not address whether there will be enough jobs. So this is not a very strong evidence. In fact, it's so weak that when the wind blows, it might collapse. So Mr. Goh decides to eliminate it. Because when we are doing a comparison, we want strong evidence that your teacher feels that yes, this is a comparison. When we have this, it's flimsy, and if you are making any claims that increase the job quantity, that will be an inference which we do not want. Next, we're talking about the same job security and reason. They do not feel secure about the jobs, they will not be able to find jobs and they are worried about it. And the reason, foreign talent. See the magical word foreign talent is essentially the same reason. So this will be an excellent example of a comparison of similarity. Next, we talk about migration. They are both agreeing to leave Singapore, but different reason. First is because of too many foreign talents. In source B, we are talking about the painful stress of going through competitive education system in Singapore. So this will be different. Singaporeans are migrating due to different reasons, and the first one will be similarity, the second will be difference. And there we are ready. That's right. So we are ready for the next step where we start to write and craft our answers. So fun fact, you can use this for assertion. And that's the end. Thank you and have a very good day. Stay tuned to part 3.